Hi everybody, Robert Dreeben here. Today is April 26, 2011, and I'm here with some bad news. Inside Kung Fu magazine, which has been around since the early 70s, has been canceled, if you haven't heard. This is the April issue as on it stands now. After that, no more. The reason I know this, I was working on a May article with Dave Cater, the editor, and he told me that on January 11th, 2011, the magazine was canceled. Apparently, as you notice, if you're a reader, it had been getting thinner and thinner. Some of their advertisers pulled out. I guess the magazine wasn't making Beckett Media enough money. Either way, as things go in this economy, Inside Kung Fu is no more. I've been fortunate as a martial arts writer throughout my career to have been in Inside Kung Fu and there are subsidiaries for 27 years. This was my first one, Martial Arts Movies magazine in 1982. And this was about fight choreography. Honestly, I'm afraid to take this out because the pages are starting to disintegrate. So this was my very first. I was 22 years old in 1982. And this is July 1986 Inside Kung Fu. And the reason this one is special because this is the first time that I appeared with my Sifu Peter Chima in this magazine. Now, from 1982 to present, I've written for other magazines as well. But today I want to focus on some of the memorable articles in Inside Kung Fu. This one was June 1987. And what this was the first time I wrote about our Grandmaster Chong Dong Sheng, Shuai Jiao Grandmaster. Then my first cover story, December 1994, with Tuhan Roberto Torres, who I was so impressed with when I went to interview him. I became a student of Tuhan Torres in Silat. And he is a gentleman, a Grandmaster of the highest caliber, and I'm very fortunate to have him as one of my teachers. Next is September 1999. The dynamic horse stance. Why this is important is because the first article that I did in color. After that, they were all black and white. In fact, Dave liked this so much he reprinted it again almost 10 years later. Then the high point of my career was the 2000 Hall of Fame, where Dave awarded me Writer of the Year for 2000. He didn't even tell me. He surprised me with it when, at the very last minute when I got this in the mail. This is July 2000. This is a eulogy to Professor V. As a writer, it's a humbling privilege to do a eulogy for a Grandmaster. At the same time, it's very sad because it's the passing of somebody great who has given so much to the martial arts community. And I did this through Tuhan Roberto Torres. And this was Inside Kung Fu's tribute there. Kind of going in chronological order. Wow. This is my next eulogy to Grandmaster Moyat, of which I am part of the Moyat Wing Chun family. This was June 2001, and again, a great Grandmaster who contributed so much to the Kung Fu world, and this was the eulogy for Grandmaster Moyat. Moving on, September 2011. This was a big deal for me because I got to meet and interview Robert W. Smith, and for those of you that aren't familiar with him, he's a prolific martial arts writer from the 1960s. In fact, Bruce Lee even copied pieces from Bob Smith's book in his Tao of Jeet Kune Do. If you're not familiar with him, I would definitely recommend you look at some of his work. It's fantastic. It'll be very educational and informative. And I met him through William C.C. Chen. Now after 9/11, Inside Kung Fu, or CFW Enterprises at the time, I believe, did a 3-part series, America Strikes Back. That was in response to the terror attacks that happened. And they did 3 parts. I was fortunate enough to be in 2 parts. This was the first one. And with so many guys that are like really into high caliber SWAT team and all kinds of other things contributing to the magazine, I felt the best thing would be for the reader would be a simple pistol disarm, which is what I contributed to this issue. And very simple, easy to use. Got this from Michael D. Betancourt. I think it's great, and that's what I contributed. Then they had part 2, and they had part 3. Part 3, really, I didn't know what would be the best thing, and I gave it some thought. And in part 3, it was the day I visited Ground Zero. This, if you have this, is a real collector's issue. This was, I get chills thinking about it. 2001. This was shortly after the attacks, and these were our personal photos that we took when we walked through Ground Zero. And that's all throughout the magazine, and the article gives me goosebumps every time I read it. It's just so intense. My second cover story, William C.C. Chen. William C.C. Chen is a grandmaster of the highest caliber and a gentleman, and I'm very happy to have met him and did several stories with him in addition to this one. Next, this is October 2004. Look at how thick the magazine was then. It was still real thick, still doing very well. This is the first time I appear with my Wing Chun Sifu Kevin Martin, who I've been with for 25 years. He's a disciple of Grandmaster Moyat. And this was our Chi Sao article. Since then, we did a few others on Chi Gurk and battle punches and other things. Last but not least, my final story for Inside Kung Fu. This was the February 2011, their Hall of Fame. And this was on Tiffany Chen. Tiffany Chen is William C.C. Chen's daughter. Both Tiffany and Max, his son, are championship fighters and have won many trophies. Now, Dave Cater gave me an assignment to do this on her. He never told me that she was going to be Woman of the Year. It was kind of a surprise for her, surprise for me. And so this was the very last one. And going to really miss Inside Kung Fu. I can only hope that they sell the name to someone else, which is a possibility, according to Dave. They may sell it to somebody else and then reproduce the magazine. I don't know. But thank you, everybody who have read and enjoyed my articles.